And today marks the 2-year anniversary of UA and other campuses shutting down due to the pandemic. WVUA 23's Olivia Paul has more on what health officials have to say as they reflect on how far we've come during the pandemic 2 years later.
2 years ago today, former President Donald Trump declared the COVID-19 pandemic a national emergency. The state of Alabama also reported its first case of COVID-19. Now, with case numbers and hospitalization rates dropping every day, it's time to take a look back at just how far we have come.
When we first started having cases of COVID, we didn't have anything.
UAB epidemiologist Dr. Rachel Lee reflected on the early days of the pandemic. Without a vaccine or many medication options, treating COVID-19 was challenging.
It was probably one of the scariest to say, am I making the right decision for our healthcare workers, for the people coming into this hospital? Do we have medications to treat patients with COVID-19? And initially, we didn't.
Now, 2 years later, we have 3 vaccines, multiple treatment options, and over 2.3 million Alabamians vaccinated. Jefferson County Health Officer Dr. Mark Wilson looks back saying that none of these accomplishments could have happened if it wasn't for the collaborative work of officials across the state.
Everybody was wanting to pitch in and help. And so I think we need, in spite of what I said earlier about all the pain and all the divisiveness that we've suffered, we've also really come together in a lot of ways that we had never come together. We've established really strong relationships that we did not have before.
Another thing that medical experts hope we can improve on moving forward is supporting our frontline workers who made getting through the pandemic possible.
Stress level has led a lot of people in the healthcare workforce to move on to different jobs. And what happens there is that when we don't have enough healthcare workers, that can affect, other things that we want to take care of, our procedures, et cetera.
Dr. Lee says that the most important lesson we have learned coming out of this pandemic and looking ahead to future ones is the importance of protecting those we love.
The virus doesn't care who you are or what you believe. All it cares about is that you have cells that it can live in and replicate and then transfer to someone else. And if you take away all of the other kind of misinformation out there and just realize that this virus doesn't care, it just wants to go from person to person, I think that we could come together as a community and say, okay, how can we stop this? And how can we protect the ones that we love?
Dr. Wilson also reminds us to not neglect other aspects of our health, like routine screenings and checkups that may have been delayed due to COVID-19. Local in Tuscaloosa, Olivia Paul, WVUA 23 News.